Here are the top stories for today, October 7, 2019. President Rodrigo Duterte arrives in Davao early Sunday after his 5-day trip to Russia. Members of indigenous peoples communities who joined the 2019 Europe Truth Caravan described their recent trip as productive and successful. The Department of Health in Calabarzon encourages its health workers to become organ donors. And let's take a closer look at Samulnori, a traditional Korean percussion music at the recently concluded Philippines-Korea Exchange Festival. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. President Rodrigo Duterte arrives in Davao early Sunday after his 5-day trip to Russia. President Duterte said the Philippines and Russia have agreed to broaden and deepen their ties in all areas of cooperation, from security and defense to trade and investment, agriculture, energy, science and technology, and socio-cultural exchanges. More than 620 million pesos in business deals were signed during the Philippines-Russia Business Forum in Moscow, which he said would generate more jobs and economic opportunities for many Filipinos.
The reinvigorated friendship with Russia is starting to bear fruits. Russia recently accredited 2 additional Philippine fishery establishments, and this will allow Filipino fishing companies to export our tuna and other products to Russia and the larger market of the Eurasian bloc. This is only the beginning. The horizon is wide. There is room for significant growth.
The Philippine government is keen on asserting its independent foreign policy as it seeks deeper partnerships with other countries while respecting its ties with traditional allies. According to PCOO Secretary Martin Andanar on Friday, the Philippines will continue to walk down the path of the independent foreign policy while maintaining cooperation with Western allies. Andanar also emphasized the increased investment from Russia, which has reached $1.3 billion or 66.3 billion pesos. The Philippines and Russia are also in talks for partnerships in oil exploration and trading of agricultural products such as seaweed and other goods and services. Andanar also expressed the Philippine government's gratitude for the military support sent by Russia in the fight against ISIS and hopes that both countries will enhance its cooperation in defeating the common enemy of terrorism and illegal drugs. The result of the investigation on PNP Chief General Oscar Albayalde will be out before his retirement on November 8. This is assured by DILG Secretary Eduardo Año, saying they already started to investigate Albayalde's alleged involvement in the illegal drug trade, particularly on the so-called Ninja Cops controversy. According to Año, he would await the result of the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee's inquiry into the Ninja Cops before coming up with a recommendation. Albayalde's name surfaced after Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong, a former Criminal Investigation and Detection Group chief, accused him of allegedly intervening to stop the dismissal of his former men at the Pampanga police office involved in a drug bust in Mexico, Pampanga in 2013. President Rodrigo Duterte, who went on a 5-day official visit to Russia, said he fully entrusts the matter to Año and would not rely on presumptions. President Duterte is said to be in favor of increasing the salary of public school teachers. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said that the government is doing something to raise the interest and welfare of public school teachers. He said that the government is still looking on where to source the fund, as a 10,000 peso increase for each public school teacher amounts to about 150 billion pesos. Amid appeals from teacher groups urging Duterte to fulfill his promise to increase their pay, the Department of Education noted that the public school teachers' monthly salary has increased by more than 100% since 2000. Currently, a Teacher 2 receives 22,938,000 pesos monthly compensation. Teacher 3, 25,232. Master Teacher 1, 40,637. Master Teacher 2, 45,269. Master Teacher 3, 51,155, and Master Teacher 4 amounting to 57,805 pesos. A Catholic bishop says that gender segregation at schools will not solve the problem on teen pregnancy as well as HIV. And the Labor Department assures employment for Star City workers affected by fire. More on this from Janice Cabe.
The Department of Labor and Employment assured emergency employment assistance to the workers of Star City, which was engulfed by a fire. According to Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III, the displaced workers will be provided jobs for 2 months under the Tulong Panghanap Buhay sa Ating Disadvantaged and Displaced Workers or TUPAD program. About 500 affected workers will benefit from the said program. Meanwhile, the Light Rail Transit Authority fielded public utility vehicles on Monday to ferry passengers affected by the temporary shutdown of LRT2 operations. The LRTA said 30 buses and 20 public utility vehicles are available to LRT2 passengers from 5 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. The LTFRB also issued special permits to 89 bus units to service the LRT2 route, while the MMDA deployed buses offering free rides from Santolan to Cubao and vice versa from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. In other news, San Jose Bishop Roberto Mariari on Friday said separating boys and girls in schools will not stop teenage pregnancy and the spread of the human immunodeficiency virus or HIV. According to Malyari, schools need to design more opportunities for focused engagements with adults and with the community and church leaders to talk about the problems, as no sex or gender could separate man from the rest. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cabe.
Still to come, members of indigenous peoples communities who joined the 2019 Europe Truth Caravan described their recent trip as productive and successful. San Miguel Corporation continues to push for the construction of a bridge connecting Boracay to Caticlan. These and more when we return.
Kami po ay pupunta sa Foreign Ministry, Filipino Community, kung saan ibabahagi namin ang aming karanasan sa 50 years sa kamay ng mga CPP and PNDF at para maitigil na ang paggamit at paglinlang sa amin na bilang isang tribo sa Mindanao.
Very important na ma-present namin sa German authority is because sabi pa ng kultura namin kung saan namin narinig yung mga chismis about our culture and tradition, pagpaninira sa amin, pagpatay sa amin, puntahan namin para magkaroon tayo ng reconciliation at kung ano ang makita namin dito, kung mabigat masyado ng problema namin, ay magkaroon sila ng compensation sa para pagbalik namin sa Pilipinas, makausap namin ang gobyerno natin at saka yung taga-kaliwang grupo, makita nila na sila may kasalanan. Yun ang pinaka-importante talaga na makausap namin sila. At malahad namin lahat ng mga issues committed by the New People's Army na ginagawa sa amin na masakit talaga. Halos maubos na kami.
Maganda hong pagkakataon para sa mga kaibigan ho natin sa ibang bansa dito po sa Germany. Halimbawa, dahil marami po silang binibigay na tulong. Lalo na po sa Germany, ang binibigay po nilang tulong sa Pilipinas, kadalasan po yung tinatawag nilang development cooperation. At ang focus po ng development cooperation na yan ay yung mga komunidad na tinatawag nating underserved communities, indigenous communities na gustong tulungan ng German government na magkaroon ng tinatawag nating sustainable na buhay, na pamumuhay. Kaya magandang pagkakataon pong nalalaman ng mga kaibigan ho natin dito sa Germany, sa gobyerno, ang kanilang mga mambabatas, kung anong sitwasyon para pag sila ho ay gumawa ng mga programa o nagdesisyon na dito nila ilalagay ang tulong na pinansyal, halimbawa, o mga programa, mga seminar, mga workshop, mga training programs, meron ho silang ideya kung ano talaga yung pangangailangan at ano rin yung tinatawag nating mga challenges na hinaharap ng ating mga underserved communities gaya ng ating mga katutubo, mga indigenous people.
Members of indigenous peoples communities who joined the 2019 Europe Truth Caravan against the Communist Party of the Philippines New People's Army described their recent trip as productive and successful. The group arrived at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport on Friday with high hopes as they were able to interact with the Filipino community and foreign government officials, as well as attend a meeting at the United Nations in Geneva. The IP leaders who were in Europe for about 21 days said that representatives of the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights committed to look into their situation. Even foreign funding agencies are said to assess their donations to the Philippines. PCOO Undersecretary Lorraine Maria Badoy, who accompanied them during their tour, said that the reception in Europe was very positive. She said their journey towards raising awareness of the evils perpetrated by the CPP-NPA is not yet over, as the government is set to submit the list of non-government organizations in the Philippines with confirmed connections with the CPP-NPA-NDF. The Philippine Army will recruit more soldiers as part of efforts to intensify the fight against local armed conflict and terrorism. In a statement on Friday, Army spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Ramon Zagala said that anyone who wants to serve our people is welcome to join as long as the Philippine Army's qualifications are met. The minimum requirement for a candidate soldier is that he or she must be 18 to 30 years of age, a natural-born Filipino, single without a child, and with a height of 5 foot to 6 foot 4 inches. An aspiring applicant must also pass the Armed Forces of the Philippines Service Aptitude Test, physical and medical examinations, and physical fitness test. Those who are interested to apply may visit the Army recruitment centers in Cagayan de Oro City, Cebu City, and Taguig City. You may also visit the nearest Army base in your locality. San Miguel Corporation continues to push for the construction of a bridge connecting Boracay to Caticlan to reduce the thousands of stay-in workers residing in the island resort. SMC President and COO Ramon Ang said the bridge will complement the government's rehabilitation efforts in decongesting the island. He said at least 25,000 workers living in Boracay can live in the mainland, while tons of solid waste a day can be moved to the other side. Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat said the Boracay Interagency Task Force is looking into the proposal. On the next task force meeting, the official said the government will be talking to all stakeholders involved. Additional cut in the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas key policy rates are seen in the last quarter of 2019 after inflation decelerated further to 0.9% last September. ANZ research forecasts the inflation rate in the last quarter of 2019 to be around the current level. It said that if third quarter GDP growth proves to be another downside surprise, the BSP may cut its policy rate as soon as their next meeting in November. The Philippine Statistics Authority reported that last September's inflation rate is lower than the 1.7% last August and the 6.7% in September 2018. Further slowdown was traced to the decrease in the heavily weighted food and non-alcoholic beverages. BSP's Policy-Making Monetary Board cut the central bank's key rates by a total of 75 basis points. To date, the rate of the BSP's overnight reverse purchase facility is at 4%. Monetary officials believe that growth remains solid amid the below-target domestic output since the first quarter of this year. The National Food Authority in Iloilo reports buying 200,000 bags of palay for September in a bid to help farmers affected by the low prices of palay in the market. More on this and other news from the provinces from Teresa Montemayor.
The National Food Authority, or the NFA, has purchased 200,000 bags of palay in Iloilo Province for the month of September. NFA Iloilo is looking to buy 150,000 bags of palay for October. The NFA continues its mobile buying stations to reach and buy palay from farmers affected by the low palay prices in the different towns in the province. In Marawi City, some 5,000 residents received on Friday basic government services from the Project Tabang of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. Among the services rendered were free medical and dental procedures and legal services. They were also given free medicines, relief packs, hygiene kits, and garbage bins. One of the highlights of Project Tabang was the launching of the Ambag program, which promotes the accessibility to health services for the poor to free medicine and medical procedures. Meanwhile, AFP Chief of Staff Noel Clement assured the military is doing its best to rescue the British national and his wife who were kidnapped in Zamboanga del Sur last week. Clement said the military has launched rescue operations even as the ones responsible have yet to be identified. Alan Arthur Hiron and his wife Welma were abducted by 4 armed suspects from their resort in Barangay Alindahao, Tukuran, Zamboanga del Sur last Friday. In other news, Maguindanao Congressman Esmael Manguda Datu on Sunday called on the More Islamic Liberation Front and the Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters to spare the communities in their gun battles. Manguda Datu decried the escalation of atrocities between the MILF National Guards and the members of the Islamic State League faction of Salahuddin Hassan in Sharif Saidona Mustafa Municipality. 7 MILF members and 4 BIFF radicals were so far killed in the conflict that started Friday. Military forces are on standby in the fringes of Sharif Saidona Mustafa to prevent spillover of the conflict to nearby areas. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Teresa Montemayor.
Up next, the Department of Health in Calabarzon encourages its health workers to become organ donors. And let's take a closer look at Samulnori, a traditional Korean percussion music at the recently concluded Philippines-Korea Exchange Festival. We'll be right back after a few reminders.
Sa pag-unlad ng turismo, umangat ang Pilipino. Mga may bahay, nagkahanap buhay. Tagahugas ng pinggan, naging gabay sa karagatan. Isang engineer, napaunlad ang sining ng buong barangay. At ang simpleng magsasagwan, malaki ang tulong sa kalikasan. Silang walang tinig, boses na ng kasaysayan. At ang specialty ni Nanay, ngayoy pinipilahan. Ang best friend ng lahat, naging tour guide na. At ang daan-taong apo, naibida ang kulturang Pilipino. Lunti ang ilog, naging entablado. At katutubong sayaw, napaintak ang buong mundo. Ipagdiwang ang isang dekada ng Tourism Act. Kabuhayan sa turismo, pinauunlad ang bawat Pilipino.
Filipinos in Baghdad and other parts of Iraq are advised to take the necessary precautions in view of the ongoing unrest in the country. In an advisory, the Department of Foreign Affairs said Filipinos in Iraq are advised to remain indoors and to avoid any movement, especially in areas where demonstrations are taking place. Filipinos are also advised to make sure they have enough food and water to call the Philippine Embassy in Baghdad if they require assistance. Meanwhile, families of the overseas Filipinos in the Philippines are requested to relay the advisory to their next of kin working in Iraq. They are also urged to reach the DFA office of the Undersecretary for Migrant Workers Affairs or the nearest DFA offices should they need assistance. Waves of anti-government protests flooded different parts of Iraq over the past few days, leaving dozens of protesters killed and hundreds wounded. The Department of Health in Calabarzon encourages its health workers to become organ donors and promote organ donation in their communities. DOH-4A Director Eduardo Hanairo noted that about 128 patients were waiting for organ donation in the country. The DOH-4A previously held an orientation on kidney and organ donation for its medical practitioners and barangay health workers from September 30 to October 2nd. Regional Non-Communicable Disease Cluster Head Dr. Marilu Espiritu led the orientation where she underscored the benefits of being an organ donor. She said organ donation can save and improve numerous lives by donating major organs, the eyes, and tissues, among others. As of 2018, the DOH has 28 transplant centers in the country. And in our foreign news, police are still searching for 2 suspects in a pre-dawn shooting spree Sunday in a bar in Kansas City, which killed 4 people and wounded another 5. Police are reviewing surveillance videos captured at Tequila KC Bar and talking to witnesses. The 2 suspects were believed to have entered the bar and began shooting. The motive for the said shooting remains unknown. Meanwhile, Cambodia has reversed the ban on foreigners who are self-employed in certain categories of local jobs. The Ministry of Labor and Vocational Training cited the demand of the skilled labor force of foreigners in service sectors and to encourage investments in Cambodia. The move came more than a month after the country barred self-employed foreigners from taking up jobs usually done by citizens. History junkies can soon view what Intramuros was back in the day. The Department of Tourism and iAcademy announced the upcoming launch of app that will allow users to indulge in a 3D experience of the Old Wall City. The 2 signed a memorandum of agreement to produce films and an augmented reality app that can deliver cutting-edge promotional materials to help the country's tourism efforts. Tourism Chief Bernadette Romulo Puyat said she is hoping the initiative could expand to other Philippine destinations teeming with heritage such as Mount Samat and Corregidor. Meanwhile, the provincial government of Oriental Mindoro City, government of Cablapan, and Jolly Waves Water Park and Resort will host the Miss Earth Talent Competition on October 10. About 30 delegates from Miss Earth's Fire Group will be performing at Jolly Waves to compete for the talent portion of the pageant. The event is part of the 2019 Miss Earth pageant that culminates on October 26 at Jesse M. Robredo Coliseum in Naga City. Miss Nguyen Phuong Can of Vietnam, the reigning Miss Earth 2018, will crown her successor at the end of the event. The Philippines hosted over the weekend a cultural exchange festival with South Korea. The highlight was the Samul Nori Korean folk music created with the impactful playing of percussion instruments. Janice Cave has the story.
Cultural exchanges enable countries to get a peek of each other's culture. These include showcasing arts, dance, and music. At the recently concluded Philippines-Korea Exchange Festival, one of the highlights was the samulnori, a traditional Korean percussion music. The Taeguk Samulnori team from South Korea performed energetically during the festival on September 28. Kim Do-gyun plays the jangu, an hourglass-shaped drum played on both sides representing yin and yang. He says Koreans believe that it delivers the sound of all things in the universe. Jangu is played alongside the buk or barrel drum, jing or large gong, and kwangguari, a small and flat gong. According to Kim, he and the other members, Lee Jong-sub, Sim Jae-rang, Choi Yong-sun, and Lee Kyu-tae, are more focused on powerful actions in their performances. Kim emphasized that Taeguk works as a team, and thus the members make music all together. It was Taeguk's fourth time to visit the Philippines, and Kim said Filipinos have always been full of energy. More than 2,000 people gathered at the Aliw Theater in Pasay City for the festival. This year's festival was part of celebrating the 70th diplomatic relationship between the Philippines and South Korea. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
And here's the latest in our community billboard. Fridays of every month will be declared as Cleanup Day in Davao Oriental. All local government units are directed to conduct an intensified cleanup drive as part of efforts to control the spread of dengue-carrying mosquitoes. Meanwhile, the Department of Trade and Industry is holding a 4-day Zamboanga Peninsula exposition to showcase the products of the micro, small, and medium enterprises in the region. Zampex 2019 will be held on October 8 to 12 at the Palacio del Sur Convention Center of the Martian Garden Hotel in Zamboanga City. Nearly 300 MSMEs in the Bicol region are also set to join the mainstream market at the OKB Trade and Travel Fair to be held at the SM Mega Mall in Mandaluyong City on October 9 to 13. The 5-day OKB Fair features a wide array of products carefully selected from the 6 provinces across the region. Finally, storytellers are invited to explore the fantasy genre in world-making through speculative writing, a half-day lecture to be facilitated by multi-awarded Filipino playwright and novelist Dean Francis Alfar. The workshop is scheduled on November 16 from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Museum of Contemporary Arts and Design of the De La Salle College of St. Benilde. Let's check out our weather forecast from Pag-asa. Metro Manila will experience isolated rain showers due to localized thunderstorms as the easterlies affect the eastern section of the country. Quezon and Aurora will experience cloudy skies, while the rest of the country will have partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers or thunderstorms. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. President Rodrigo Duterte arrives in Davao early Sunday after his 5-day trip to Russia. Members of indigenous peoples communities who joined the 2019 Europe Truth Caravan described their recent trip as productive and successful. The Department of Health in Calabarzon encourages its health workers to become organ donors. And let's take a closer look at Samulnori, a traditional Korean percussion music at the recently concluded Philippines-Korea Exchange Festival. Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out more news content, check our webpage or head on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I am William Theo. Good day.